If the Santa Clarita Valley Man and Woman of the Year Award is a Lifetime Achievement Award, then our guest tonight is on to at least his second lifetime. He won the award for Man of the Year back in 1970, and by my calculation, that's pushing 50 years ago. And he's still going strong and giving back to the community. I'm Leon Warden, and this is Legacy, Santa Clarita's Living History, brought to you by the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society and SCV TV. There aren't many people who deserve to be called Santa Clarita Valley Man of the Century, but if anybody does, it's our guest tonight. He's been everywhere and he's seen everything in this valley. I'd like to welcome Ed Bolden to the show.
Thank you.
You have spent your career as a civil engineer, primarily in this valley.
Yes.
You've engineered residential subdivisions. You've done a lot of the roads that people drive on today. You are, to a great degree, at least, your end of things, responsible for a lot of the things the way they are in the Santa Clarita Valley today. And I want to talk to you about that, but I want to go back. And I want to go back like to the beginning. You were originally from Illinois, is that correct?
That's where I went to college. I'm an Okie and a Texan.
Is that right? Where were you born?
Born in El Paso.
When? Tell everybody how old you are.
1928.
1928, El Paso, Texas. Okay. And is that where you met your future bride?
No. My parents took me out of there at about age 2, and we went to Oklahoma, where my dad had a job from 1930 to 41.
During the Depression, what was your dad doing?
He was a school teacher.
Was he?
Yeah, coach, football coach, yeah.
And that's where your brains come from, huh?
I think so.
What was, tell me about how you met your wife. What was her name?
My wife of 64 years, is deceased now, was Anna Bolden. And we met in Fort Worth. Her family and my family knew one another. And I graduated from college, went back to an old Baptist church in Riverside, Fort Worth, and the crowd of people knew that I just graduated, and they were busy congratulating me, but I couldn't get out. I was trapped. And this beautiful little female came through and said, "We have a lunch date," or something she said like that, and pulled me out of that crowd. That's how we met.
Okay. And from there, the rest, as they say, is history. Now, at some point, a lot of people, as in my case, I came to the Santa Clarita Valley because my parents brought me here. But that, I guess, was not your situation.
No.
What possessed you to come? Well, you came to California. Why?
I had a grandmother here from Fort Worth, where I went to high school, and she was my guardian then. And a freeway took a big part of her 2 or 3 acres of land, and she pulled up stakes probably at 75 years old and moved to Los Angeles, California.
Is that right?
Yeah, alone. And my parents were part of her support. And I just graduated from college, and she was begging me to come to California.
Okay.
And I refused to do it. And she died one day, and the next year I moved to California.
Really?
Yeah.
So she didn't live to see you fulfill her dream of you coming out here, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You graduated from college with a degree in civil engineering, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. What attracted you to that field?
I wanted to be an architect and a civil engineer. I'd been impressed by a guest speaker at a high school Monday morning assembly, and he had turned me on, and I really wanted to do everything. I wanted to be an aeronautical, I wanted to be a civil, I wanted to be an architect, I wanted to do all these things. Went to a counselor and told him that, and he fell apart. But he handed me catalogs of the colleges, and we started looking through them for places that had curriculum in architectural engineering, not just one or the other. And there were about 3 or 4 of those.
What was it that attracted you to that? Was it the creativity? Was it the, I don't know, what was it that turned you on about that?
The speaker was E. Stanley Jones. He was a missionary, Presbyterian. He came in and told us in that meeting, that Monday morning assembly, about Tuskegee Institute, where there were black World War II airmen that were, and I'd heard that story before.
Right.
And
The
so
famous
when he,
Tuskegee Airmen.
yeah, so when he told me that, I'm a front seat B for Bolden, and the room is arranged alphabetically. Front seat, I was usually asleep for the Monday morning speaker in about 3 minutes. The guy told a joke or something and got my attention, and then started off with this story about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Now, was he African American?
No, no. E. Stanley Jones was a Presbyterian minister, a Presbyterian missionary, and he was not black.
Was it a large African American community where you, in the where you went to high school?
I went to high school in a segregated high school. It was all African community.
Okay, right.
And I was looking at that yesterday. I was listening to a guy talking about polio and Salk's invention of, or creation of, the drops
The
for
vaccine.
the vaccine. And he had a picture, and it was a picture in Tennessee or so, I can't remember where it was, but there were 2 lines of kids getting the vaccine. And he'd not recognized it before, within months. He just recently recognized that the 2 lines were the black kids and the white kids going in to get the same serum. Well, that was where I was in high school.
Now, you came to California. Where in California did you land?
Los Angeles.
What was what year did you come here?
January 56.
56.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 28 years old or thereabouts. How was it different? How did Los Angeles compare, with respect to race relations to where you came from?
I felt pretty free. I'd been working in Illinois, and then working here. I'd gotten a job for state highways in California by writing a letter.
Okay.
And they hired me with the letter. So I felt pretty comfortable, and not a lot of prejudices that I paid attention to. Yeah.
Now, 56, now I think back, I was just a wee lad then. No, I'm kidding. That was, I guess, Governor Pat Brown was the governor at the time, I would imagine, probably 56.
I don't remember.
Around in there. But point being, there was a lot going on in California at the time for a civil engineer. You had the water project, which started in 60-ish, and you had major road and freeway construction coming in around that time, 56, 57, 58. So I guess there was a lot of work there was a lot of call for civil engineers, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah. We had. I came and went to work, as I said, by letter by writing a letter to California State, and I spent a couple years there, and then I went out to the private engineering firms to go to work, and they were working in the residential development territories. That's how I got into that arena.
And of course, in this valley in the late 50s, you had Victor Gruen and Associates planning out Valencia.
Right, and they weren't very well, it didn't seem that they were very active. Yeah.
Yeah. Hadn't really, there was nothing to see. There weren't shovels in the ground at that time.
Yeah, yeah. 10 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when was it that you came to Santa Clarita Valley?
The company is 1964. The job that I did at Camp Plenty and Soledad was 61. And then I finally moved here in 68.
Okay. So you were working here well before you became a local resident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 61. Now we're talking about North Oaks in 1961.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What did you do? How'd you get that job, and
Yeah.
what'd you do there?
I less than 6 months before getting there, I'd been fired from a job, civil engineering job.
Why'd you
And
get fired?
I got fired by one of the greatest men I've ever met. A neat guy, never raised his voice, always, helpful in what you were doing.
Kind of like me. No.
Yeah. but one of the neatest
to
guys
laugh.
in the world, he had asked me to do a design for a subdivision down in San Diego. It was like 500 or 600 acres. And through the middle of it was a drainage course, which means there's water there when it rains.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to reserve that for a storm drain. And he was looking just to get a count of 7,000 or 8,000 square foot lots, and I don't care about the drain. Just give me, just how many lots can you get here? And I would not draw lots in the storm drain. And after about 3 weeks of asking me, why don't you draw some lots right here? I said, he said, come into my office, the quiet guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we went in there and raised our voices at one another. He finally yelled at me. I yelled back at him. The secretary was at the door, and when we opened the door, she fell in the room listening to us argue. But he fired me.
Because he wanted you to do something that wasn't physically
Yeah,
possible, basically. I mean, what, to fudge numbers or something like that?
No,
Or-
put some more lots in
right,
this,
but I
in
mean,
this territory.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't draw 4 little lines, and put another
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So he canned me and paid me, he just paid me my vacation 2 weeks before, paid me another vacation, gave me another bonus, everything you can think of, and told the gal that fell into the room to make out a check. And I went looking for a job,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went looking for the job that I finally got, the guy said, no, we're not hiring.
Now,
But,
we're talking about you looking for a different civil engineering firm to work
Yes,
for. Okay.
yes. And a week later, the owner, it was McIntyre and Kuros in Monterey Park. A week later, they picked up a job of 500 or 600 acres in the Camp Plenty, Whites Canyon, Soledad area. And he wanted somebody to get a subdivision off the ground and recorded and under construction quickly. He gave me a challenge of getting the plans drawn, the plans approved, and recording a map. I didn't have to record the map, but I had to get everything ready to record the map in a week.
In a week. You had to draw out the North Oak subdivision in a week.
For about, for less than 100 lots, not the whole thing.
Right.
Just the first
The initial,
phase,
yeah.
yeah. And I
But where
did
the
it-
airport was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there was an old airport there. And so in a week, I drew the plans. Over the weekend, I drew the plans. And on Monday, I went up to Lancaster where the plans were checked. Met guys that later, and 3 years later, became my partners in the business that I'm in now.
Okay.
And that was it. That's how we got there.
And that's how that started.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would involve also actual Camp Plenty Road itself.
Yeah.
So what was your involvement in that?
There was a tentative for the whole area, a tentative map approved by the Planning Commission. Excuse me. And we were picking the first phase of it. So the tentative map has an alignment for streets, Whites Canyon, Camp Plenty Road, and a whole batch of other streets in between. And so you're just picking a piece of this off of a one-page map,
Right.
and now you're doing all the details.
So then you would draw the design for Whites Canyon to go up and over and connect
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Plum Canyon, I guess.
Well, it just went to the top of the
It just went to
mountain.
the top of the
when
mountain
I
at
was
the time.
there. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Did you ever have any work relationship with? Did you ever do any work for Bill Bonelli?
Yes, Bill was a client.
Because of course he really It's hard to identify what was the first subdivision. I mean, we had, you know, Burmite homes in
Oh,
Newhall
yeah,
in the
yeah,
30s,
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
but you had Bill Benelli, which is what we consider to be the first real housing tract in
Right,
47 in, well, we call it the Benelli tract, you know,
Yes.
it's up Saco.
Right.
What did you have to do with him?
I didn't have anything to do with that subdivision,
Right.
but he owned water companies to
Yeah.
do the subdivision of Seco
Sure.
Canyon, and he also had a water company for Soledad Canyon Road. He had a Bouquet Canyon water company and
Right.
a Soledad, and we needed the Soledad to do the Camp Lenny
Oh, okay.
White's Canyon,
Okay.
and that's how we got acquainted. Later, he used me for his water company. We worked for him for
Okay.
putting in new pipelines.
New pipelines
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You would have to figure all that stuff out and how,
Right.
yeah, where the pipeline's going to run around and through and all that kind of thing.
And how to get enough water there, yeah.
Now, you had some large firm, like I said, Victor Gruen, you know, and large firms like that, doing some of the real major, huge housing projects like those for Newhall land. Were your clients basically like everybody else, or you know, the smaller guys, or what?
We had representative clientele. I can think of Hunsaker is one. We had Jerry Snyder. Jerry Snyder was the owner of that first thing that we did on Soledad. Hunsaker came in, the guys over at Calgrove for our clients. They were nothing as big as the Newhall ranch operation. But we came here, my partners and I came here because we wanted to be their engineers.
Okay.
And we fought for a long time to get into that job.
Okay.
And Tom Lowe and all of the other CEOs from there were great friends. And I'd ask them for a job, and they'd send me off to a trailer park to put in 10 lots. And that was it.
Yeah.
So we really didn't get into their operation, wanted to, but unsuccessfully. We did the other guys that were around and developing.
And the we is Andel Engineering.
Andel Engineering.
And somewhere along the way there, another man of the year, Harry Bell, came into that. Talk to me about who Andel was.
Andel was made up of myself for a license and 4 other county employees up in Lancaster who had been checking my plans.
Okay.
And they were mad at John Lambie because he thought
He was
that
the senior county.
he was the county engineer.
Okay.
And he thought that owning land was a conflict of interest as a county employee. Now you can stretch that and see what he was talking about, but it does not make sense that you can't own land if you work for the county. But they were mad and asked me to be their partner. And 4 of them, Murray Gollop, Harry Bell, the 2 guys, I had a couple single gals that were involved, Maggie McWaters and another one. Can't say her name. And
So
the
Harry
5
Bell
of us,
worked for the county before he came to
Yes,
work with you.
yes.
Okay.
And we were 5, and we were not sure that we could get any business. So like in November of '63, we mailed out mailers that said that I and the other 4 were going to start an engineering company in Newhall. And we came back and opened our post office box that we'd bought January 2nd, and we couldn't get all of the mail in a bag. It was loaded.
Yeah.
But we had only started with Harry and I because we didn't know if we could pay 5 guys.
Okay.
So the other 3 stayed at work, and Harry and I started off to do it. Within a month, we had everybody on board because we had this pile of mail that we needed to respond to.
Now, you know, you moved here in 1968. There weren't a whole lot of African-American people living here at the time. I never hear stories about Ed Bolden in having any trouble as an African American in this community. Is that because you didn't have any trouble? Or, you know, how did that, were there manifestations of that? Did you feel anything because of the color of your skin?
Yeah. You know what's, the funny part is I've been this color all my life. And I've spent all my life with all of the lousy and beautiful things happening. And I got here in '64 as a company, and in '65, Harry Bell, Jim Kaiser, and Jack Nelson, 3 of them sponsored me in the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club didn't have any other black members. You couldn't find another black member in LA County. As a matter of fact, I don't think there was a black member in the world.
Of Rotary?
Of Rotary. And these 3 guys teamed up to break that barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And asked me, and they tell me that one guy resigned, I don't know who he was, that one guy resigned from the club because I came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who he was, don't care.
Yeah.
But that was a beginning. Within the first month or so, I lived in Baldwin Hills in LA. And down on Crenshaw Boulevard, I was in town one day for work. And I couldn't get here for a Rotary meeting, so I stopped on Crenshaw, a mile from my home, to go to a Rotary meeting.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me in.
They wouldn't let you in.
The philosophy was that I didn't have a membership card. I had a button, had a pin on, like I do now. And the governor was, I've been a governor since then, but the governor was there as a guest speaker that day.
The governor of California?
The governor of Rotary.
The Rotary governor.
The Rotary
Okay.
district
Yeah,
governor. And a district of like most of LA City. And the clerk at the desk said, have you got a membership card? Nobody else had a membership card. I've never had a membership card. You've got a no, I don't have a membership card. I'm a 1-month-old member.
Yeah.
And he goes up and speaks to the governor. And the governor tells him, we can't just let anybody in here for one of these meetings. We got these great speakers and this great food that we have at lunchtime. Behind me was a line while we went through this visiting Rotarians. I got probably 10 phone calls after that meeting telling me that I could come to their club. But I was still mad, and that was on a Tuesday. And Wednesday when I came here to go to our meeting, the president caught me coming in the door. And he's, what happened and blah, blah, blah. I'd come to resign. And then all these phone calls came, and this guy saying, what happened? Tell me, you know. And I realized that I'd run into some jerks, and I've run into jerks all my life.
Yeah.
And usually I can either backhand or not even notice them, and live happy ever after.
Yeah, I think there are some remarkable stories, and I think a lot of people here probably have some leap to some conclusions that may or may not be valid. I mean, you know, 10 years earlier, you know, we had Shelby Jacobs on this show. Great guy, came from Val Verde, and he was African American, and he was in 1953. He was the Hart High Class president.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, you hear both sides of this, and you strike me as a guy who lets a lot of things roll off your back.
There's no point in carrying them. They're heavy. Why would you want to weight yourself down?
Yeah.
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 You can work yourself into a tizzy, is the word for it, or you can forget it. And I've forgotten a lot.
Now, of course, 1970, you were Man of the Year, and back then, I guess, you know, I opened the show by saying, you know, that the Man of the Year award, the Man and Woman of the Year award now, and women get awards too now.
Yeah.
is a Lifetime Achievement Award. But back, I think, 1970, when you won it, actually, that was the first year that we also had a Woman of the Year.
After, yeah, within 6 months, yeah.
Yeah, and so we also had a lot of different kinds of barriers broken down. Of course, now Rotary allows women to be members too.
Yeah, yeah.
And that wasn't the case when you started in Rotary.
Right.
But with that Man of the Year award, that was in relation to the work that you did, I think, to open at the time, Boys Club of the Santa Clarita Valley, or of Newhall, or whatever. Tell me about that.
I think it was, 68, in the middle of 68 that we started the Boys Club.
I think we're coming on our 50th anniversary next year, so yeah, that sounds right.
So Bill Comar was the first president. I was the charter vice president. And Bill Comar served about 1.5 years to get to January to start a new 1-year term. And so I was in line for that as just because of the beginning and how we'd set up the president and the vice president. So that job was there for me for January 1970. And a guy by the name of Stan Dyer was a hospital administrator prior to Newhall.
That's before Henry Mayo.
Yeah.
So.
And he took me golfing one day and asked me to be president of the Rotary Club. And that started in July. It's a July to July operation. And I was silly enough to say yes to both of them. And about the close to the end of 1970, they had started, Bill Bonelli, the historian that we had. Perkins, and a couple others had started the Citizen of the Year, not Man of the Year, but Citizen of the Year award. And 4 of them had made it, and there were only 5 guys in town. and women weren't recognized, of course, as being service. And so
you're saying, who else are you going to give it to?
Fifth guy, here I am. And with the things that we got accomplished in the Boys Club, I think we were the spearheads for creating the Boys and Girls Club. Because
eventually that barrier, not too long before that barrier was broken down, you let girls join the Boys Club.
We had girls that year, 1970.
Is that right?
And we had a ladies auxiliary board. And we think we promoted the title that finally became countrywide, Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, and it started right here.
Started right here. Yeah.
So
The girls were already
You were the first African American probably anywhere in Rotary, and boys and girls were allowed into the Boys Club for the first time here. And so this is it's a kind of a different story of the Santa Clarita Valley than I think people presume today.
Yeah.
What do you think? What have been some of the biggest for your career? I want to talk about nonprofit activities, but career-wise, what have been some of the biggest landmarks of your career here in the Santa Clarita Valley after North Oaks?
We did Cal Grove after North Oaks. We essentially at the same time.
Cal Grove, where it goes up and connects to Valley Street?
Yeah, right. I haven't had that many big, tremendous things that I've done for civil engineering. I've enjoyed it. I like designing roads and getting the sewer to go downhill, and the water can go under pressure uphill in a pipeline compared to free water going downhill again. So I enjoy those challenges of getting that to happen. And we've done several subdivisions since we've been a company. I did a lot of subdivisions before Andel, but I don't think of anything noteworthy.
You speak of Andel in the present tense. Are you still working?
I have an office at my home. There are 2 of us that are still doing like 20 hours, 25 hours a week.
Is that right?
We have clients. We have a subdivision going. We have a water company that we're worried that they're no longer there, and that we still have as a client.
So Newhall County, you're talking
Newhall
about?
County Water District, yes. I've been a client for 50 years. Well, this is
pushing 50.
This is 52 years. They were our clients in 1964.
Really?
Yeah. But that's one of my big things, is I've got a couple clients that are 50 years old, that have been there all along. And it's amazing that I get them to keep writing checks to keep us going. And I worry because of the water system that they're planning right now, or water company that they're planning right now, that whether we'll get recommended or not. And that's a good time for a commercial.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
There you go. Somebody looking for to keep a job here.
Yeah, right, right.
Your nonprofit activities go beyond the Boys and Girls Club and Rotary.
Yes.
And you continue to serve on the board of the Sam Dixon Family Health Centers.
Yes.
Involved with things like the Rubber Ducky event and fundraisers. What is important to you about Sam Dixon? What's the attraction?
Oh, that's easy. There are people who have a need for health services that can't afford them. And we have a place for them to go. We have 3 offices for them to go to for whatever their needs are, regardless of their ability to pay. And I find that so rewarding. I run into people who tell me how nice it is to be able to get there and get some service. It makes you emotional. But that's the big reason, is we service people who have a need. And you can't, we don't have big payrolls. We pay people minimal type wages. And they service these people, and the people appreciate the service. Worth $1 billion. Worth $1 billion. That's what that one's about.
Yeah.
The other things that I've gotten into since Boys Club beginnings and the YMCA, I was here for the beginning of that on its initial board. I became governor of Rotary 15 years after being president. I made moderator of the Presbytery, San Fernando Presbytery, 1989. We started a campaign in Rotary in the mid-'80s for polio, to eliminate polio around the world. And we went out to raise $120 million to do that. And I did the campaign here locally in our district. Our piece was 750,000, something like that. But
no problem.
No problem. We did it. And the 120 million, we went to a convention in Philadelphia, and the countries were announced around the world alphabetically, and USA is at the end of it. The rest of the world raised $120 million. USA raised $120 million. So we started off with a $240 million. It's nearly that in billions 30 years later. But we only have a handful of people in a couple countries. I think they're Afghanistan and probably Nigeria, but there are only half dozen people or cases that we're aware of, and we're still trying to get rid of it so that we don't have to worry. We can put the serum.
I didn't know it was still around.
Yeah. But so I raised the funds for that here. We had a guy that was scheduled to be chairman, and it was the first time that Rotary had sort of mandated that everybody, the whole world, get involved in one project. We were autonomous as clubs, you picked what you wanted to do, and the focus was to join forces. And there were people who didn't like that. And the incoming chair for that campaign here would not take on the campaign.
Really?
And I was in line for the next year of foundation. And that's how I got to chair that. We led for, we had like November, December to like March. This was like 87, 88 to get our 675, whatever we were doing here.
Right.
In this, that was just my club. In this district, the district of Santa Clarita, Antelope Valley, and a couple clubs in the north end of the county, north end of the valley, were our district. We led the world in raising funds for that campaign. For we had like 4 months, and we led for like 3 months, and then some character down in Texas donated $1 million bucks to his district and threw everything out of kilter. But the guys from the other districts would come to district meetings, and the guys from the other district would come in and tell me this. I didn't know that we were leading. We were just collecting. And I remember being asked, "How'd you do that?" And what did I do? And then they tell me, you know, you're number one.
And it's not like, you know, we're not West LA. We're not the super rich here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Like, you know,
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so you know, we always hear that Santa Clarita Valley is generous, and I guess that sort of story bears it out.
Yeah.
And that you say that was 87, 88. Another thing that's 30 years old now is the city. Looking back over the last 30 years, what do you think of our little city here in Santa Clarita?
I think it's a miracle. I think it's excellent. I am pleased with an ability to keep a city council that has heads level enough to keep promoting and growing constructively. I think we're blessed. I think we're in a precious and special spot.
We've seen a lot of change, you know, the last, since you were engineering out at Camp Plenty in Whites, you know, 50 some years ago. We've grown, you know, I mean, you can't even measure it. I mean, I guess back then we were probably looking at, say maybe 10 or 12,000 people, maybe in the Santa Clarita Valley.
When we did Camp Plenty, that's right.
Yeah, about 10 or 12,000.
Yeah.
And today we're at, you know, valley-wide, Santa Clarita Valley, you know, over 200,000 in the city and 300,000 in the valley.
Yeah.
It's just been phenomenal. You know, the way the amount of growth has been overwhelming for a lot of people. A lot of people moved away. You've stayed here. It doesn't scare you?
Gets kind of nervous sometimes when you're trying to get on lines, the traffic. But
you didn't design that one.
No. Didn't design lines. I remember when it had a big oak tree in the middle.
Big oak tree in the middle. Yeah, they got rid of that.
That was really difficult to get rid of. We were willing to kill people instead of remove a tree. Run into this thing in the middle of the road.
Now, looking back, what do you think of it all? What do you take away from, you know, your contributions to the community and its development and everything? You know, what keeps you here? What's the attraction? What do you tell people?
Well, at what, 53 years old for a company, we have developed a mass of clientele. And remember, I'm down to 2 people for a company and half a week of work. You wouldn't believe how many, the only work that I get is from references. It's from people that I've forgotten that I work for, and they will remind me what I did.
And I imagine it's been that way for decades.
Yeah. And I say, oh yeah, I remember that. And that's the big reward. I wouldn't give anything for simply that tells me that I acted like a good human being when dealing with that person and tried to service their need and satisfy them. And those are rewards to feel that way.
Well, I've been around this town for a little while now, and I mean, not quite as long as you, but I have never heard anyone say a negative word about Ed Bolden, and I don't know who I can say that about. You know,
I like
so,
to hear
yeah,
that.
I can understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, basically a quiet guy who's just very helpful. And you know, I've told you off camera that I think it's kind of weird that I've never had you on this show before. And you're not out there looking for attention. And
That's
you know,
not
I
the
know a lot of
reward,
people
yeah,
are.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not running for mayor.
You're not running for mayor or anything else. But you are running for a position with this new water company we're looking at.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if anybody wants a good, solid engineering firm that's been around for 53 years, it's right here. Ed Bolden, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for joining us. Want to see this show again? Just go to scvtv.com, check back on Spectrum Channel 20, AT&T Uverse 99, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.